Alright, we're going to continue with our while loops, and we're going to introduce what we call an infinite loop. And it's basically a loop that will continue forever and never end, and that's a bad thing, obviously. We want all programs to end eventually and have some way of ending. And you can get into that condition real easily by leaving off the curly brackets on a loop. This applies to any type of loop, not just a while loop. Alright, so this is the program we were working with on the other video. In this case, the way it's coded right now, x being 5, the condition is false, so it skips the cout statement, still does the increment, and then outputs the increment. So the output will be a 7 on this case. But we can quickly make this an infinite loop by making this any value that makes that condition true, like a 2. 2 is less than that, and we're going to see that it's just going to continue forever outputting hello with the value of x. Right? And that's because x is never changing, so x will never get greater than 5, so the loop will never end, so the condition is always staying true, right? Which is an issue here. And you see it's just going nuts. You see it's flashing down at the bottom here, constantly changing the value. It's not good. If you get into that situation, Control C ends the program. The way to stop it. Right? And it's caused by the fact that in this case, this cout statement is the only thing that's part of the loop, so x never gets incremented by 2. It just stays 2 forever and keeps looping and looping and looping and looping, doing this one condition. And simply adding the curly brackets fixes our infinite loop for us. Right, and we'll see now that it did as it has in the past, so we'll run a couple times with x being a value. Right? First is 2, incremented by 2, it's 2, and at the end we see it's 6 when it comes outside the loop. So we quickly fixed our infinite loop. One thing I've noticed a lot of students doing is doing something of this nature. Right? Remember, the loop is running as long as the condition is true, and stops once it is false. This is a coded infinite loop. You created a loop that you want to never end. And it's very bad programming practice to do those type of things. There is a way to get out of this, as we'll see later in other videos when we talk about the break and the continue statements, that will allow you to get out of this loop. Right? But getting out of a loop based on not the condition is not a good programming practice. This is extremely bad programming practice. A loop should always end based on its condition. Right? So this is an infinite loop that you coded intentionally to never end, right? And it's just bad practice. Alright. So avoid doing this. It's a very bad practice. Right? There are ways to get out of it, yes, but that's not a good programming standards. Right? So very simple to create infinite loops, just a loop that runs forever because the condition never changes to become false, right? As we saw, we've removed these curly brackets.